It is always a shame to see a game with so much potential left to die at the whims of Steam reviews. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Titanium Legman, and welcome back to the channel. Hello everyone! As I said at the top of the video, my name is Tom, otherwise known as Titanium Legman, and as always, if you enjoy what I do and you want to see me continue to do it into the future, a like and a subscription on this video would be very much appreciated. It's 2024, and we're going to keep trying to grow on YouTube. 20K! Here we come. Thank you so much. So yes, it's a shame to start 2024 off with a little bit of a negative note, but I wanted to talk about one of the, to me, biggest disappointments of 2023, which is Crimson Tactics. For those of you who don't know, Crimson Tactics is a small indie strategy RPG, turn-based strategy RPG, that dropped in the latter half of the year, and I found it to have a lot of potential. I even went so far as to call it one of the best, if not the best, indie turn-based strategy RPGs ever made, and one of the best successors to Final Fantasy Tactics and Tactics Ogre Reborn that I had ever had the pleasure to play. And you know what? I stand by those words. I was attacked for it quite a bit. I had a lot of people coming after me about it because of their anger and disgruntlement towards the game and its devs, which is something we're going to talk about here. But I stand by that. Crimson Tactics is actually a very strong game, despite its troubled production path, and I do think that you should go play it. As the thumbnail suggests, the game is dead, but you should go check it out. As a quick recap of what it is that we're talking about here, Crimson Tactics dropped into early access very unexpectedly in the second half of 2023, while people were expecting it to have a much longer early access development cycle. However, the dev team at Black March Studios stated that basically their two options were to completely halt development of the game, or put it out now in its current completed state, with not quite as many classes or features as they wanted to have, but with a natural breakpoint in the story and an overall complete gameplay experience. This way they could put the game out, get more funding, and then develop a sequel or a continuation that would include more of the features that they wanted to have. This was not well received by people. They got trashed pretty hard in Steam and in their Discord. A lot of people gave a lot of, in my opinion, very unfair and unwarranted criticism and pushback for this decision that was made at the hands of changing economic conditions and unstable game development cycles, which, I mean, that's what happens. It's part of the nature of early access, right? So unfortunately, the game released to a very poor review on Steam, and very poor sales, despite the efforts of people like myself to show that the game is actually quite good and you should check it out. And later on down the line, the devs announced that there would be no further development for the game, that there would be no continued development of any sequels for the game, and in fact stated in their Discord that they would be leaving the tactics genre behind entirely. They were leaving Crimson Tactics up on Steam. You can go purchase it right now. I recommend that you do if you're at all interested in the genre. But they're not going to be making any more turn-based strategy games, and it's uncertain if they're going to be making any more games in general. That's the general recap, and suffice to say, I'm very, very sad to see this happen. I love Crimson Tactics. I have not finished it yet. I cannot say what the natural breakpoint of the story is, but from my experience with the game, the story is solid. The art, pretty damn good. The actual unit customization and tactical options available to you, very, very strong. And that's something that was echoed by a lot of people in my community who either watched me play the game or decided to pick it up for themselves after seeing me recommend it, and greatly enjoyed the depth of customization available, even with the more limited class options that Black March was able to bring to the game with their limited dev cycle. And that's why I think it's so worth it to play. Yeah, you have to go in with the acknowledgement that unless a miracle happens and Black March sells the IP to someone, or someone offers to fund a new title and they decide to come back to it, or something along those lines, which is probably unlikely, but you never know. Unless that happens, there won't be any more Crimson Tactics. What's there is still worth experiencing. It's so rare to have anyone make a successor or attempt to fill the shoes of Final Fantasy Tactics. And we've seen a few successful projects do so. Things like Felseal Arbiter's Mark comes to mind in the indie space. But to have a new team come in and swing for the fences and do so many things right, regardless of the fact that they weren't able to get where they should have been able to get, that's something that's worth checking out if you're a fan of the genre and a fan of the series. Now, unfortunately, it seems like there are a lot of people who are fans of the genre and fans of the series, both Final Fantasy Tactics and Tactics Ogre, who are extremely overly negative and critical about anything else to come out in the space. And it's incredibly frustrating. Even just the comments that I get of people saying that Tactics Ogre Reborn is the worst possible thing to be released because of gameplay tweaks that were made, when it is pretty definitively the objectively correct way to play the game from here forward, just because of all of the improvements that have been made to it, is extremely disheartening. Because those are the types of people that are going to have such a negative impact on releases such as this. You can say what you'd like about the promises that were broken for the early access period, yada, 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 even though I would argue, as always, that funding a game in early access takes a certain level of responsibility and risk on yourself, because you never know what's going to happen to the game. You're not buying a full product. You don't know how the dev cycle is going to go. You're funding further development, and that could backfire. That's just how it is. Even despite that, the level of vitriol that quote-unquote fans of turn-based strategy games have, and this is not an attack on everyone, y'all know the exact type of people that I'm talking about because I fight with them in my comments all the time, just ensures that no one's going to make more of these games. You know, head dev Eternus said in their Discord that for all intents and purposes, the tactics-like genre is dead on Steam. Even releases like Tactics Ogre Reborn have only middling reviews, despite it being a phenomenal game, because so many people out there, some of you probably who are listening right now, are massive haters and only want to see the exact same thing that was created previously, regurgitated once again, back out into the world with zero development, zero advancement, zero innovation, and God forbid you be an indie dev trying to do something differently and not living up to the lofty standards of Matsuno and Tactics Ogre that has had over 20 years of development time across various different iterations. God forbid that happen, right? God forbid. And I think that's where games like Crimson Tactics are sent out to die, and why I understand Black March not wanting to continue to develop it or continue making anything in the tactics space, because look at what happened. They struggled in their dev cycle. You could say mismanagement, whatever, but I mean, Eternus himself talked about the fact that there's so many economic troubles. The issues with game development right now are huge. We've seen thousands upon thousands of layoffs in the gaming industry, and yeah, maybe not in the indie space, but it's still indicative of problems in the space. To say nothing of current events and wars and all these different troubles in the world. That makes it so hard to put out a focused, successful product that takes so much effort to produce. And it's how you wind up with situations like this. To go through all of that and then run face first into a wall of people who refuse to even consider accepting anything but the absolute highest standard, it's not good. It's not good. And that's why I'm encouraging you now to go and check out Crimson Tactics. Again, I have not finished the game yet. Maybe the story absolutely does fall flat on its face. But to me, what I have played thus far, the first 15-20 hours, has been such a good time that it doesn't matter for me if it falls flat. The gameplay, the mechanics, the interesting things they're doing with unit building, mounts, overall functionality of MP, TP, HP, the different types of weapons you can utilize, the fact that they have different attack ranges based on the weapon type that it is, different effects, that you can put magic on anyone and create very interesting spell sword setups. There's so much there that it's worth checking out. And I think that's pretty evident from the reaction to the game in my community. So don't let the haters dissuade you. Try not to be a hater. That's all I ask. I know I'm going to get a lot of pushback on this video, but that's fine, because I sincerely believe what I'm saying. And I sincerely believe that people did not give Crimson Tactics enough of a fair shake, and it's part of the reason that the game is dead. There's a lot of factors that went into that, but community reaction, especially on Steam, is a massive part of it, and I hate to see that. So yeah, there's not much else for me to say about this. Just go check out Crimson Tactics, show it some love. I don't know if the game's going to be taken off Steam at some point because development is dead. Probably not. Maybe you need to wait for a sale. Maybe you want to wait for a sale. If any sales happen, absolutely pick it up. It's absolutely worth checking out. But I still give it my seal of approval. If for no other reason than I want to see more indie devs try to emulate Final Fantasy Tactics, Tactics Ogre, with their own spins, their own design philosophies, their own insights into what the genre can do, without being stood in front of a firing squad and getting absolutely eviscerated on Steam, in community forums, and in their own Discord. Thank you all so much for watching. I do very much appreciate it. Try to be a little bit more accepting of indie devs going into 2024, yeah? As well as just devs doing anything in this space. Don't listen to the haters. Trust your own eyes and ears. And for God's sake, don't put any stock in Steam reviews. With that all said, my name has been Tom, otherwise known as Titanium Legman. I hope you all have a good night. Stay safe and healthy out there. And remember, be good to each other. Bye now.